We live in a world that is designed to be 72 degrees to 74 degrees all the time.
All the time. Yep.
And that's not really good for us as a species.
Guys, I'm so excited that we're here with my good friend Andrew from North Carolina. I mean, he is up here in the north as a man, a little bit of the south, and I like to call him the sauna king of the Carolinas. Glad you're here. How's it being in Duluth?
Well, there's only one sauna house in the Carolinas.
Right.
But Duluth, there's so many. It is the capital of sauna up here, I feel like. I saw one just down the road when I was driving in. It was pretty cool.
We're having tons of fun with Andrew. We're hanging out. You're up here for the week. We're currently installing this one behind us. And Andrew got to see it rolling down the road, watching it in the final steps of the build. And I think the conversation we just want to have is like, sauna is sort of happening all over the U.S.
Yeah, it's a big growing trend in America right now. It's about time. The United States needs more stress reduction than any other first world country, I believe. And I'm glad to be a purveyor of it. And we're doing our best job to do it in a really authentic and quality way.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we really connected.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, spending time on the internet, you find a few people who are trying to do good stuff, and we just like hit it off.
Totally.
Had a couple phone calls, and Andrew's like, hey, why don't we just come to Duluth? Let's work on some stuff together. So we'll maybe talk about some of the other things we're like working on a little bit, but just in general, I want folks that are sort of following us to hear more of your story. They know a little bit about our story, but we're up in the north where maybe sound is a little more common, right? Duluth has a big history of it. How did you find it?
Yeah.
And then like, why give your life to it? Why open Sauna House? Why Asheville? I mean, that's a bunch of questions, but kind of give us the origin story.
Yeah. So like the backstory is a little bit random. You know, I grew up in Northeast Philly, not a place where I had ever seen a sauna ever until I was in my mid-20s. When I was in San Francisco, we had moved into this old school apartment complex building, and down in the basement one day I was taking the trash out and I saw this little glass window, and inside there was a sauna, and nobody used it. It wasn't like some luxury apartment complex. And I kicked it on and cleaned it out and just gave it a go. It was just a random time. I had heard about sauna on the Tim Ferriss podcast with Rhonda Patrick. It was like his first 10 episodes. And I was like, I'll give that a shot. And it just so happened that one of my good buddies was in San Francisco at the time, and he was getting into cold water therapy because he suffered from concussions, TMJ, sleep apnea. And he was like, cold water therapy is the only thing that works for me on a regular basis. And so he challenged me to a 30-day trial. He's like, do it for 30 days, see how you feel. And I went for it. And after 30 days, I was like, there's something special about this.
Yeah.
And then I learned about the combo of them. And then I started learning about the history, and I really fell in love with it out in San Francisco.
Yeah, I love how people get into it in different ways, right? Yeah. And some people find it through wellness and health. Some people find it through culture and tradition. Some people go travel to Europe and have some great experience and come back and say, why isn't this in my town? What made it go from cool 30-day trial, hey, it's in my life, to I'm going to start a business, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to invite other people into this?
So yeah, moving back to the East Coast, to Asheville, because basically there was mountains and mountain biking, and that's really important to me. That wherever I live, there's mountain biking. Yeah. And I was looking for the next thing to do, and my wife Kate, she encouraged me to look into bathhouses, because after I fell in love with the one in our complex, you know, we traveled to Europe. we went all over the place. And then I started to meet and call randomly all the different bathhouse owners in America. And there's really not that many. It's a small niche market. And we researched it for a while and kind of kicked it around. And then I was on a mountain bike ride, and a friend introduced me to the owner of the property that we eventually leased and renovated.
Wow.
And that's how it kind of like kicked off.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it because, coming from an athletic background, it's a very passive form of exercise, and I was always good at turning it on, but not really turning it off.
Yeah.
And sauna and cold therapy is a great way to teach people, that on-off switch, which is so important in our society now, especially with the constant amount of stimulus coming from technology.
Yeah.
It's really important to have those resets for the nervous system and the brain.
And even in your space, you guys are like, you check your phone at the door. I mean,
Yeah.
this is physical detox and digital detox.
Totally.
And, we've talked a lot this week about it. Like you say, hey, this is probably one of the 2 hours of the week where you're not going to have your phone on.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for some people.
For
Most
almost
people.
all people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
People are glued to technology now. It rings and dings to keep your attention. And that kind of leads into like the mindfulness aspect of what I care deeply about.
Yeah.
Through breath work and meditation, right? Like all we have is attention and focus. And our technology is specifically designed to take that away from us. And so when people are at Sauna House for 2 hours, they get like this break and they're like, wow, why was that 2 hours so wonderful? Well, yeah, our place is awesome and sauna and cold therapy is awesome. But like they weren't distracted from their present moment in any way. And so I like giving people like insight into that experience, and then they can start to replicate that at home in different ways.
Love it.
Yeah.
Looping back around, you had said something about kind of turning it on, being an athlete. I think some folks sort of think about sauna because they've seen wrestlers try to make weight. It's like, I'm going to go sit and I'm going to endure the sauna. I wouldn't say that's sort of the way that it gets, that one should or often gets the most out of the experience. I think I lean towards this reset, this passive exercise, this pause.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that it can be used in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The more traditional way is a communal bathing experience, right? Where people are coming together and they're showering, they're saunaing, they're getting in cold water and then maybe some warm water, depending on where in the world you are. The tradition is quite different. But now there's a lot of research about performance enhancement. And so from an athletic performance enhancement standpoint, we write a lot of content on how to best use sauna to improve your running. We sponsor athletes. And you can definitely make some gains that way. Now, when I look at our facility, I think of it as an oasis along the way of people's wellness journey. And everybody's kind of needing something different when they get to the watering hole. And so I'm not too particular about how people view it, but I do like the restorative aspect. And depending on when you're there, a sauna house can be a totally different vibe.
I don't feel like there's many spaces in the world that are so malleable that they can be a space of solitude, they can be a space of mindfulness, and yet at the same time be about community, connection, and gregarious fun. And that tension isn't often found. Plus, the health benefit side of like you can actually train and get better gains and get some reset. So we've talked a little bit about sauna, we've talked about bathing, we've talked about health, recovery. I mean, there's a whole lot of things to talk about. One thing I love about you is I know you've sort of been introduced to this whole experience not just as a hot room. Cold is a key component, an essential component of the hot and the cold. Introduce it for a lot of folks, because some folks are just like, no, I'm never, what?
Well, it's brutal, it's not comfortable, but that also has to do with like modern society. We live in a world that is designed to be 72 degrees to 74 degrees all the time. And that's not really good for us as a species. And so cold water therapy is actually one of the oldest recorded treatments for depression and anxiety mental instability. And I found that to be true for me. That's part of my story. I really struggled with depression earlier in my life. And I think that hot and cold therapy has helped my brain regulate chemistry extremely well. And that's been true for a lot of our customers as well. Cold therapy is cool because it's something you can do at your home fairly easily and get into.
And the simplest way is like cold showers?
Cold showers, they work depending on where you live and what the tap water temperature is.
How's the cold here?
Cold showers are good here. You're sub 60, some 60 Fahrenheit, which is what's required.
Yeah.
You need to be below 60. You have some sensors in your chest and neck. Essentially what's happening is that your body thinks you're freezing, and so it pumps all the blood from your extremities into your core. Yeah. And this contracting of veins and arteries is extremely healthy for keeping veins and arteries supple, which, you want supple veins and arteries. They're associated with lower levels of cardiac disease and stroke. Also, inflammation levels are getting drastically reduced because you're squeezing all the inflammation out of your joints.
Yep.
And so people feel excellent.
You hearing that? Yeah, you hearing that? Okay. we're installing a sauna tomorrow. You'll see more of that, but we got some footings going in right now, so you're hearing a little bit of some prep over there. So, quick interlude. So cold.
It's cold.
It's good for you.
Apparently.
Yeah. And maybe combining with sauna?
Yeah, I mean, combining it is, an ancient practice as well, going from hot to cold. Depending on what culture you're looking at, it could be sauna to cold plunge, it could be hot pool to cold plunge. But yeah, sauna and cold therapy, I mean, it's got a crazy amount of health benefits. Alzheimer and dementia, heart attack and stroke are greatly reduced with regular sauna bathing.
Yeah.
And so I think that in the next 10 years here, we'll probably see it become one of the largest preventative maintenance tools for our society. At least I'm really hoping so.
Yeah.
The 20-year study out of Finland, which people can read about.
Mayo Clinic published it. You can Google Mayo sauna benefits and it's going to get you there.
Yeah, it's all over the internet now.
Yeah.
So it seems compelling. It was a big sample size. Most studies don't have 2,000 plus people in them for 20 years. So fairly good data, but also coming out of a culture of Finland where you also don't have the other kind of other unhealthy things that Americans might have a little bit more of.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sauna and cold therapy even more important for our culture to adapt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about the health benefits, and I think that, people need to just try it for themselves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Should we try it?
Yeah, I kind of think we should, We're next to isn't it the largest fresh water source?
Right over there is 10% of the world's fresh water, Lake Superior.
Yeah.
And it is more water than the rest of the Great Lakes combined. It is cold all year. I think as a good send-off, you're here in Duluth. We're talking cold plunge. We're talking sauna. Andrew, cold plunge in Lake Superior?
I would love to.
Let's do it. Here we go. How's that feel, Lake Superior?
Oh, I'm feeling quite lively.
So good.
So good.
Sauna House, Asheville, North Carolina. Cedar and Stone here in Duluth, Minnesota. You guys, come cold plunge, sauna. Andrew, thanks for being here.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I love the Great Lakes and I love Duluth.
See you on the next one.